Hey guys, it's Kaz here, and today I'm going to be doing my August wrap up. So in August I read 7 things, and to be honest it was a pretty average to low month for me. Almost everything I read was 3 or 3.5 stars. I either wasn't vibing with the books or they were okay but not great, unfortunately. But I still read some things that I liked, just not that I loved. Apart from one I did love. We'll get to that. So first of all, I read Running with Lions by Julian Winters, and I enjoyed this book. It's a contemporary, it's set in this football camp, and it's mainly about just all these characters being friends, or the love lives, or like being a group and trying to get better at being a team. And I enjoyed this one. I give it 3.5 stars. I think there's something about Julian Winters. I've read 2 of his books. I can't remember what the other one was called, but I had the same sort of feelings. There's just something about his writing style that just doesn't let me connect to anything until about halfway through, so I can't like love the books because I'll be reading it and I'm just not feeling it for ages, and then it gets towards the end and I'm like, oh actually I am enjoying this, I do like the characters. But for some reason, I don't know what it is about his style of writing, it just takes me a while to get there. I do have another of his books on my TBR, Right Where I Left You, so hopefully that one will be better. But I did enjoy this. I did like the characters. I did think the romance that was sort of blossoming was cute. But there's just something about his style. I don't know what it is. It's just hard for me to grasp onto. But yeah, I did enjoy the book. After that, the one book I actually loved this month, this is The Goblin Companion by Brian Froud and Terry Jones. So, if you don't know, if you haven't... Right, The Labyrinth, the film. First of all, if you don't know what it is or haven't watched it, go and watch it because it's amazing. This is a companion book to go with The Labyrinth. It originally was in a bigger book called something else. This is like a smaller version that they created a bit later. And it's literally just, first of all, it's got like little drawings and stuff of the goblins. But you just go through and it just has some words about the goblins and some pictures. And it's just really good, it's really funny, it's absolutely stupid in the best possible way. So I have some tabs here, I'm just going to go through a few of them, just because everything else this month is kind of like, it was alright, but this was genuinely so funny. So for example, there was a guy here, Bubble, who was forced to eke out a living by hiring himself out as a can opener. But even in this humble role, his career appeared to be blighted by the total absence in the labyrinth of tinned consumables. It's just really silly. And it's just so much fun. Extinct mammal. So the small mammal pictured at the bottom of plate 18 is actually extinct, although no one has yet had the heart to tell it. It still lives amongst the rubbish mounds of yore and eats anything that can answer the 3 simple questions it puts to it. A curious beast. And here he is. He's extinct, but nobody's told him yet, so he's just living his best life. And yeah, I'm sure you get the picture, but it's just really silly and funny, and the pictures are really cute, and the goblins are fun, and the way it's written is just really humorous. This guy, for example, is a twark, and they lay eggs so small you can't see them, and you can't see them with a magnifying glass or a telescope or anything. But you know that they exist because they taste of corduroy trousers, even though nothing in science can actually see it existing. It's just really silly. And this guy, look how cool he looks. There we go, look how cool he looks. So the Guri bites, the effects of which are invariably nasty, fatal and quick. Fortunately, on the other hand, the Gertie themselves are not particularly aggressive. They are prone to swoop down on you and make you a nice mug of hot cocoa. Sometimes they will steal upon one from behind with platefuls of sandwiches and canapes. Other times they will simply force their victims to enjoy life a little more. And yeah, it's such a great time. I had a wonderful time reading this. And I read it right at the beginning of the month, and then everything else is kind of like, meh. Which is unfortunate, but also at least I had one that was great. This one, the Clunkit, so it just talks about him, how he's one of the rear armoured goblins mentioned in the previous entry. Of course, like all reared armoured goblins, it goes into battle backwards, and it's always more dangerous in retreat than attack. His inside leg measurement is unknown and, more to the point, irrelevant. It's just so silly and fun, and I had a lot of fun, and it was just really good, and I gave it 4.5 stars. It potentially could have been 5 stars if I wasn't a picky bastard, but I am a picky bastard, so it wasn't. After that I read volume 8 of Deadpool. This is Operation Annihilation, and let me just real quick have a look because I keep reading loads of these and I can't remember what happens in. Oh yeah, so this is the one where the Hulk, I mean I should have just looked at the cover and known that the Hulk is there. So basically Deadpool's trying to get Hulk to kill him because Deadpool can't die, but he figures the Hulk's so hardcore that maybe the Hulk can actually kill him, even though we all know Deadpool can't die. That's the main premise in here. I enjoyed it, but it felt incomplete. So like the last issue, so basically these sort of bind ups, they're always like 4 to 5 to 6 issues bound up in one like thing, and the last issue in here is just a random issue from a previous Deadpool that just has the Hulk in it. It has no relevance to anything, and it just felt like proper filler. It felt like it was thrown in there. It's like, oh, the Hulk's in that one, we'll just throw that in here and then it will make it a volume. And it didn't feel like it was actually necessary. It didn't feel like it fit in any way. Like nothing that happened in that little issue was relevant to anything. So yeah, it just felt a little bit thrown together. It was fine. Not my favourite Deadpool volume though. We're about halfway through, so let's head on over to a message from one of the spawns, and then I'll be back with the other 4 books that I read that were alright.
Hello, lovely girl. It's too warm, isn't it? Yeah.
So after that I read The Book Eaters by Sunny Dean. This was a buddy read with my friend who has started posting again. I will put their channel in the description. Go and subscribe, all that fun stuff. And yeah, this is a book that I'd seen about a little bit and I thought, you know what, that looks interesting. So I read it on my library app and it was interesting. I thought the premise of the book was really cool, really interesting. Basically, like they kind of look like people and seem like people, but they're stronger and faster, and then they eat books. They have book teeth and then they eat the books, and that's how they gain knowledge and all that jazz. But then there are also mind eaters. So these are the random members of the families who have to eat minds instead of books to get all of the knowledge, but then they have all the memories of the people that they eat, and they have to make sure that like they're not eating people with too much knowledge, because then it will mess up their mind, because their mind can't handle that much knowledge. So the premise is really cool and I did enjoy it, but I did give it 3.5 stars. There was just something that I wasn't connected to fully. Like, I enjoyed the premise, I enjoyed the characters. It's about this mother and her son. Her son is a mind eater and she's trying to figure out how to get this cure. Like, one of the families of book eaters, there's several families that live like around the country, and one specific family has this cure that they made, but then something's happened over there, so she's trying to figure out how to find somebody that has the cure so he doesn't have to eat minds anymore. And yeah, I liked the premise, but it just like, it didn't wow me. The book, it didn't like grab me so much, and I don't know why. There was just something about it that it just wasn't like fully there for me. Like, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't amazing. I enjoyed the characters, but I wasn't like attached to them. I thought it was interesting. It went sort of back and forth in time. So back in the day, not that long ago, back in the day I say, like as she's growing up, and in this community, girls are really rare as book eaters. So they're sort of like given out. They can get married to different people and have babies because they need to keep the book eater alive. And like they have a certain amount of years. Like, you go and live with these and marry them and have a baby, and then you're gonna go over there and marry them and have a baby. So I did enjoy that sort of the talk in there, like feminism, how women are treated, how they're used, how as a younger person she was treated amazingly. Like, oh, you can't give the girls any punishments because we don't have many girls, and she thinks like, oh, I'm a princess, loving life, she can only eat certain books that are like fairy tale books, happy, you're not allowed to know much about politics or life. And then you get older and then you realise you're actually just being used because they need to create more. So I did really enjoy that whole thing, but yeah, there was just something about it, and again, I'm not sure what, it just didn't drag me to the full 4 stars, but I did enjoy the book. After that, we buddy read another book, because why the hell not? I have loads of books on my TBR, why not read another book on my library app? And I did, and that book was You'll Be the Death of Me by Karen M. McManus. So this one was a YA thrillery mystery sort of thing. I read One of Us Is Lying quite a while back and I gave it 3 stars. I liked it in the beginning, but then I felt like it went weird. The ending sort of jumped the shark. It felt very 90s point horror. It didn't feel like something that would come out now, if that makes any sort of sense. It's really cheesy. And I felt the same about You'll Be the Death of Me. I quite enjoyed as it was like getting going and stuff, but it all happens over the period of a day, less than a day realistically, like half a day because we don't even go to the night time. And you would feel like it should be jam-packed, like obviously someone dies and there's a mystery and you have to figure out what's going on. But it felt like it was just like going along. There was no sort of sense of urgency really. It was just sort of happening. And yeah, I just need to accept that Karen Ann McManus is not for me. And I kind of almost did. When I first read, what is it called again? One of Us Is Lying, I thought, probably this feels like this is what she's going to be. But I wanted to give her another try, and yeah, that is what she is. Certain people will enjoy this book. I just think it's kind of like meh. If you want that sort of mystery sort of element stuff, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, loved that book. But these ones I just find a little bit cheesy, a little bit obvious. Like the mysteries are not very mystery-ing. The ending just feels a bit convoluted or just not well done, or there's just so many different things. And yeah, I just wasn't really a fan. It was fine. I gave it like 3 stars, I think. I didn't hate it. Could do without the romance. It just felt really stupid that we're in like 12 hours and they can have this many. We really like each other, now we're angry at each other, and we really like each other, and now we remember something that happened 74 years ago and we didn't like each other, and now we do like each other. Like, bro, calm down. It's half a day. You know what I mean? It's just very that. So yes, after that one, I read Love Blood by MJ O'Shea. And this one is a werewolf story. And it's a werewolf romantic story. And I thought it was going to be really cheesy and really like... I thought it could be a little bit... ugh. You know, like the whole mates thing. It's a little bit, ugh, isn't it? But I picked this one up because the Buzzwordathon word was like to do with body related, I want to say, and it says blood in it, something like that anyway, body parts, body related. And this was like one of 2 books I had, so that's why I picked it up. But in the end I actually quite enjoyed it. I give this one 3.5, I believe. It was definitely one of the higher ratings, probably like 3.75 if I'm being really point, which I'm not because I only do 0.5s. But I did actually quite enjoy this. So it's about this guy, what's his name? Not that I've said anybody's name in any of this because I'm not that sort of person. Max. And him and his mum run away from his alpha dad because his dad's abusive and horrible to them, and go and live with this other pack where his mum has been friends with this other woman since college, so they go and live there. And then him and his mum's friend's son, Jonah, like the instant they not even the instant they see, the instant they sort of get in the same sort of area, they're like, oh, what's that amazing smell? Oh, this is an amazing thing. And like they're, what is it called? Love Blood. Soul mated. Anyway, it's like you can be mated with 2 people put together, but then if you're soul bound, then it's like something in your souls, and it's not something that the pack can put together, it's just natural. And if you don't get together, you'll like die because it's that important. Yeah, so it sounds very dramatic, and it was, but I enjoyed it. It was a lot like high schooly stuff, but there were some fights in here, there were some pack elements. There wasn't too much of the matey stuff. Towards the end there was a bit, but it wasn't so bad that it made me cringe and made me want to be sick. So it wasn't like, you know what I mean. I caught on Mist and Fury, not that one because I liked that one, but that series is very like, oh, you're my mate, oh, growl. Even though they're not werewolves, they're fae. But you know what I mean, sometimes it can get a little bit. But I actually quite enjoyed this one. So yes, and there were actually like fights, like I said. There were actually deaths. And there was these 2 characters who were soul-bound, but then one of them had been mated to somebody else. And it's like, you can't break the bond, but also you have to break the bond because the soulmate is more important than the other one that's been... Yeah, all that jazz, werewolves, all that. Not even werewolves, because they don't change on the... in the moon. They just change when they want to and run about as dogs, you know what I mean? Well, wolves. That sort of werewolf. The one that changes whenever it wants to. Anyway, yeah. This was one of the books I quite enjoyed this month, though. Bonus. Oh my days, guys. If you're in England, you know. Oh, it's so warm. But anyway, the last book I read was All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. And let me just say, when this first came out and several years afterwards, I was like, I'm not going to pick that up. For some reason, it just didn't grab my attention. But then I read more Maggie Stiefvater and I really enjoyed all her books. And I thought, you know what? I will give it a go. And you know what? I should have just listened to myself in the beginning, because I gave this 3 stars. Honestly, like halfway through I thought it was going to be low, less than 3, but then like towards the end I did quite like get into it a bit. But yeah, unfortunately, because I really love Maggie Stiefvater and most of her other books I absolutely adore, like even the Shiver series, talking about wolves and that, like that seems that it's going to be really like cringy, but I actually really enjoyed that series as well. But yeah, this one, I was just like, everything about Maggie Stiefvater that I enjoy just didn't feel like it fit here. First of all, the plot. There was hardly any plot. It's about this family and they're saints and they do miracles, but then you do the first part of the miracle and then the darkness of the person comes out and then they have to realise how to get that darkness away from them to like complete the miracle. And it sounds interesting, but yeah, it's just like very low plot based, and The Raven Boys is very low plot based, but I absolutely adore that book because it was very character heavy. But in here I didn't really care about any of the characters. It's a standalone. I didn't feel like I got any specific character that I like grabbed onto and thought they were great, really enjoy them. It's just like, it fell flat. And the writing style, like, I felt like I should have loved it because it's Maggie Stiefvater, but it felt like it was dawdling along instead of being really fun to read. And yeah, it's just something about it that was just not enjoyable. Like it took me the whole month to read, basically. I did put it down for a while and read other stuff, of course, but when I picked it back up and tried to read it, it felt like I was forcing myself to read, especially the middle section, because it just felt like nothing happened, but also nobody to care about, to read about, to enjoy. Nothing happening in the plot. Like if I cared about these characters, I would totally enjoy just them existing. But I was just like, meh, don't really care about anyone. There was an interesting thing about like a radio. Some of the characters were creating a, what's it called, pirate radio on the airwaves, but I'm just like, okay, good for you, don't really care. There was different pilgrims, didn't really care. Stuff happened, didn't really care. So yeah, unfortunately I finished on a low. And it makes it even more of a low because it's an author that I absolutely adore. So yeah, there we go. That was the end of my August wrap up. Hopefully September will be better. Let me know down below what you guys read, or if you've read any of these, what you think about them, all that jazz. That's what the comments are there for. Say some words, I'll reply. That's what it's about. And yeah, subscribe if you want, like if you want, do all that jazz if you want, watch another video if you want. Talking about videos, I will be with you in a few days with another one. Bye.